And welcome back to Let's Play Fear and Hunger 2 Termina. This time around, we're actually starting on the title screen because I have one more character backstory that I want to show off. We're actually not really going to get a chance to see Olivia at all in this Let's Play since I am unable to recruit her in Marcoh's playthrough, and for Abella's playthrough, she will likely find herself beamed over the head with a pipe wrench. But she does actually have some unique aspects to her character's backstory that I would like to show off. Additionally, we could just go over her unique mechanics and some of her strengths, because Olivia is a very interesting character in this game. Let's, of course, just start up a Fear and Hunger mode file. Going to do some light reading, as we will go through her character history here. We will not skip it. The soothing sound of the rail tracks. You're not used to such a peaceful and tranquil atmosphere. You can't help but let your mind wander. You reminisce what has led you to this point in life. How many times have I read this? 4? Yeah, 4. You remember moths. Blue moths. Hey, wait a second. Blue noctid moths, to be precise. That is your first memory as a child. You and your twin sister sitting in the backyard, illuminated by the cold blue hue of the moon. Instances where the two of you sharing a moment were rare. That is probably why those moments matter to you the most. You and your twin sister were born at the strike of midnight, at the turning point of months. Thus you were born with different birth signs. One was born with a shadowed soul, and one with a radiating soul. Since that moment, it was evident that the two of you would lead very different paths in life. Just as predicted, you were the polar opposites of each other from very early on. You were fragile and weak in build, whereas your sister Rayla was an active and adventurous child that could have easily been an athlete, if she just chose so. You stuck to indoors reading books for most of your time. Your sister spent her time outside making friends with other kids of the neighborhood. Despite your differences, you took solace from each other in the strict religious household you grew up in. One thing was common between the two of you. You both wanted out of the ever-watching eye of your parents and the religious dogma. You found escapism from the nature and botanism. Your sister, also being academically gifted, took interest in sciences. She would dedicate her time to new sciences that centered around advanced engineering and top-of-the-line technology. Her taking interest in the academia did irk you a little bit, as if she had stepped into your territory. Now, here you can attempt to try and outdo her in science, and Olivia will learn the short-circuit skill, or we can develop her botany skills here. You decide to concentrate on your own doings instead of giving in to the jealousy, and it quickly bared fruit. You learned Undergrowth Awareness. Undergrowth Awareness is a very unique skill. It is a passive that allows Olivia to get additional items out of harvesting blue herbs. She can also harvest the roots. Additionally, it lets her collect items that normally other characters do not have the understanding of botany to know if they're safe to take or not. Namely, she can take wild dagas, she can take nettles, and she can take hemlocks. And with other skills that she can learn, she can create very potent items with those. Or in the case of dagas, she can just smoke it and get her mind back. There we go. While occupying yourself with the world of botanism, your sister would often quietly join your reading sessions, burying herself into her own books. Despite your differences, these reading sessions really created a strong bond between the two of you. During your high school years, a disaster struck. You suffered multiple small strokes in a short period of time and was left bedridden. Naturally, you were terrified by what could have been causing this. Your parents first turned to religious healers for aid, but nothing seemed to work. Your sister tried to persuade them to seek out modern doctors, but your parents were slow to react to her pleads. After getting no results, your parents finally gave in, but it was too late at this point. The diagnosis was that you had an abnormality of the spinal cord that affected the blood flow and supply. You underwent a long operation in hopes of fixing the issue, but unfortunately things didn't go well, and you were bound for a wheelchair for the unseeable future. If something had been done sooner, maybe things could have been different. So, Olivia is not fully paralyzed, but she does have limited control over her legs. In theory, though, she could potentially walk again. Wonder if she ever will. What followed was an intense period during which you tried many different medical treatments, all for nothing. There was no escaping the wheelchair. Your legs did have some minor function, but they were left far too weak to carry your weight properly. The world felt like such an unfair and hostile place after all you had gone through. All this just further created contrast between you and your sister. You couldn't help but be envious of her. Her life seemed to roll forward without hiccups of any kind, whereas you struggled with each step you took, quite literally. Nevertheless, the two of you continued, if not on the same path, then on the same lane, at the very least, as you both entered the same university in Bremen. Naturally, you were studying botanism and natural sciences, and your sister studied new computer sciences and engineering. You were both tremendously relieved. You had finally moved out of your parents' sphere of influence. Like always, you and Rayla were the polar opposites. Why would things have been any different in the university? You had trouble getting acquainted with other students, but your sister, on the other hand, was already leading the student council and was even getting very familiar with one of the university professors. You can do a variety of options here. You can try to steal the affection of the professor, which gets you a recipe book, which is useless. You can expose the professor to his superiors, which, as far as I know, doesn't actually accomplish anything. Or you can just concentrate in your own studies, and you learned advanced botanism. This gives Olivia a whole bunch of unique crafting recipes for the deep blue roots she can collect from blue herbs, as well as allowing her to actually craft lavender into a very potent mind restorative and make an improved version of the green herbs by combining them with red herbs. Just as you expected, your sister and Professor had an obvious connection. You were not sure whether you felt jealous for the fact that your sister garnered that attention from the opposite sex, or that someone else was forming a connection with her. Either way, you didn't think too much about it. It wasn't all bad, anyway, as you made good friends with the professor through your sister. Your student life continued smoothly. You were constantly ranked at the top of your class, and the nature seemed to lift its veil of secrets the further you got in your studies. Your sister did even better at school. Apparently, she was practically a genius in her field. She took part in a special student exchange program between the Bremen Empire and the Eastern Union. Interesting that's going on during a war period. She would get to see the world while you were stuck on your laurels. Nothing new there, you pondered. In any case, the time had come for you to choose where you would specialize in your botanical studies, so you can specialize in the folkloristic side of botanism and get a Venushka skin Bible, which makes Olivia one of the few characters right out of the gate who has a guaranteed way of accessing the forest route into the city, though unlike Marina, she does not start with chalk, so you do have to track down a piece of chalk to begin with. We're gonna pick toxicology, though. This allows Olivia to craft nettles and hemlocks into condensed nettles and condensed hemlocks. I believe condensed nettles paralyze enemies, although I've never really played around with them. Condensed hemlocks, on the other hand, are one of the best attacking items in the game. They are your only option for inflicting the severe poisoning status, which does a number on the torso HP of enemies. It is extremely powerful and one of the best boss killers in the game by far. You graduated, started your own research in botanism, while also working at the biggest greenhouse in Bremen. What should have been a brand new start in life felt more like you falling into place to gather moss, living your life through your sister's amazing tales. Her research abroad seemed to open many doors for her. The Eastern Union hired her to work in top-secret facilities around the Central Europa. You'd receive letters from her frequently, always from a different country. She could never fully reveal what she worked on, but she did say that despite working for the army, her inventions would be for the better of mankind, not for war. It all sounded incredible, and you were genuinely happy for her. Really, only the letters came to a halt all of a sudden. You wouldn't hear from Rayla for months. After 6 months, your parents got information that Rayla had been accused of treason. She had committed serious crimes against Bremen Empire. That's at least the official story. By the time you heard of this, she had already been in an undisclosed Bremen prison for months. You felt helpless. There wasn't much you could do. The next time you heard of her was when you read the news about a terrorist group called Nameless Liberty Underground breaking her free from prison. What had your sister gotten herself into? A terrorist organization? The news really bothered you. You'd definitely heard of the Nameless Liberty Underground before, but where? Then you remembered it. The professor Rayla had been seeing during her school years had mentioned the organization in a passing comment. You returned to the university to confront the professor, only to find out that he had been executed several months prior. He, too, had been accused of treason and had been sentenced to be hanged in the middle of a battlefield. Something weird was definitely going on. You got to search through his office and found several letters from Rayla. Apparently the two had been in letter correspondence long after Rayla had graduated. In the last letter from her, Rayla had cryptic writings about a cube Eastern Union had been desperately trying to replicate the cube, but to no avail, whatever that meant. Rayla was worried that the operation in Prehevil was what Kaiser of the Bremen Empire was after. There's still time before he could get here. I still have time. Those were Rayla's last words. Upon further investigation, you find out that Prehevil was a medium-sized city in the country of Bohemia. That is the last known location of your sister, and that is where you decide to head without delay. With a real adventure ahead of you, how did you prepare for the trip? Now, Olivia actually has a pretty nice selection of unique options here. Of course, there's a standard food option for your moldy bread and your dried meats, but you can stock up on herbs, which can actually combine pretty well with your advanced botany. Particularly, you get some red herbs, green herbs, and lavenders. I prefer to find something to read for your travels, though, because you get Alchemilla Volume 1. With all the herbs that you can collect off the train, you can make a ton of healing items and give Olivia a very good head start on being able to heal herself should she get into dangerous situations. You felt tense since the moment you embarked on this journey. Every night you'd see nightmares of the horrors that would await you in Prehevil. Are they just dreams? You can't help but feel that there's more to the dreams than mere logic would dictate. We're not going to save our history, and we are not going to skip the intro, and we're not going to play the whole thing again. There are just a couple of quick scenes that we want to get to flesh out a element of the game that otherwise does not get too much focus if you're not playing as Olivia. There's the girl in pink again, but when playing as Olivia, you feel like someone was watching you while you slept. Was that your sister? And there is just a unique aspect of Olivia. Of course, she has a wheelchair. When playing as Olivia, you actually do get to keep your wheelchair, and you can disembark from the wheelchair. Olivia cannot go upstairs while riding in her wheelchair. She needs to actually get out of it and climb up them with her arms. And this has several implications for Olivia as a character. Namely, if she loses both her arms, she is completely disabled right away, and she can't do anything, so that's a bit scary and something you have to concern yourself with. But it also means that if she loses her legs, she is not set back by that at all. Also, just a funny little bug, even though you're not supposed to be able to sprint in the intro sequence, if you get out of your chair and then get back in, Olivia will be able to use her sprint function. Another aspect of the wheelchair is that if you get hit by tackle-type attacks, it will knock Olivia out of the wheelchair, and she will be unable to launch physical attacks, though she will still be able to use items and magic. Additionally, if she's attacked by an enemy while she's crawling around, she will also enter the fight in the same state as if she was knocked out of her wheelchair, so it's something extra you have to keep in mind. And also, she has a wheel slot in her equipment screen. Plus, she starts with a one-winged necklace. Now, this one-winged necklace can actually be combined with the one you find at the Prehevil Midnight Gazette to make an upgraded version of it, though we're not going to be seeing that. If you recruit Olivia, she does not actually come with that half of the necklace. And once again, the janitor is here to just give us a hard time. We're not going to pay him any mind. Get out of here, Sax McGee. But what we do care about is the girl in pink, or I should say, Rayla. The janitor is screaming at the girl in pink. The girl, she is your sister Rayla. There's no mistaking it. So, once again, we're just going to have to make cubes here. You wonder what you should do. Why is Rayla here? Why is she playing the part? She's assembling these cubes like told to. And, of course, we'll just resume our cube construction. Yep, don't mind me, just, you know, doing the old 9 to 5 making cubes. There we go. And after we make all our cubes, Rayla is trying to get your attention. Rayla, what's going on here? She gives you a faint smile. And with that, Olivia gets the option to tail after her sister, but we're not going to do that. That's where more or less the interesting changes stop. Of course, there are some alterations to the opening cutscene getting off the train, some additional dialogue, and some more mentions of Rayla from Olivia's internal monologue, but I don't think that's really interesting enough. But that does get us some interesting reveals there. Of course, that girl in pink is actually Olivia's sister, and Olivia's sister is also the leader of NLU, if Abella's backstory is anything to go by, so very complex character. Olivia's backstory is also kind of interesting to me because it portrays her as a much more resentful and jealous individual than she comes across just by interacting with her in the standard game, so there's definitely a bit more to Olivia than you're able to see on the surface level. With that all said and done, we are going to resume our exploration of the city of Prehevil. Now, in the last video, we got all of the effigies, so we can actually continue to the area that contains the museum, and the museum is adjacent to the tower. Both of these areas are connected to the end of the game, but there are 2 more places we need to hit up if we want to have access to all the endings in the game. I think this is the last Bobby we can come across in this game. Well, he's dead now, so let's just beat him up, search his body, and of course saw off his head. One thing I'd like to comment on while we're just walking around here, the orphanage in Dr. Kiefer's is another area where you can encounter the mob, and it's probably one of the least desirable areas to encounter them because there's so many important things here. We've of course already killed them, but I have read that the mob can potentially respawn and force you into another fight with them. I have not personally seen this happen, but I've heard that it can happen. I'm not going to think too much about that, and it's probably not going to come up in this Let's Play. Watch it come up when we're trying to get to the next major area. Now we're just going to return to the bar, dump off the characters we don't need. Let me see, let's just get past the things that could potentially attack us before I remove anybody's equipment. Going into the next area, of course, I'm going to bring Marina along again. She's just been so useful to us throughout this entire Let's Play since we got her. Glad that she's been able to help out a lot. And let's see, let's unequip Levi and Abella. We're going to take Marina, and we're going to take Karin along. Technically, Dan would be better since he could use the spear, and Karin cannot. But it would just be a minor upgrade, really, so I'm not overly concerned about that. Hey Dan, hey Karin, do you get along? Didn't get into any fights? I hope. Alright, so let's just let's have everyone just break up here. And of course, let's get Marina back in the party. Want to tag along? And get Karin here. And you know what, let's get a little drink to take the nerves off. Let me see. You know what? Whip up an old-fashioned for me, since you're so fond of mixing. Nice choice. My specialty. Alright, take a quick drink, get everybody's mind refilled. You don't mind if I share this with Marina, do you, Dan? Here you go. You rock the ice around the glass for a few times. The old-fashioned settles down, and you catch its scent that is a mix of both sweet and musky. You taste the drink briefly to check out the exact ratio of its ingredients. The whiskey, which seems to be on the more expensive side, is clearly the dominating flavor, but the sugar and water help the drink roll off your tongue more easily. You're pleased to notice that the herbal taste of the Angostura only hints with its presence afterwards, never trying to rival the key ingredients. It soon becomes evident that this drink is perfectly mixed old-fashioned. It has all the best qualities of good whiskey, but it's casual enough for you to drink it like a sailor. You've finished the drink. Well done, bartender, well done. I can see why you consider that one your specialty, but that gives everybody their mind back. Let's feed everyone so that we can go into the next area without having to worry about hunger too much. Now, where we're going to be heading in this video, and possibly just to start, possibly for the entire video, we're going to be heading out to the woods of Prehevil. So, once again, we're going to be heading back in the direction of Dr. Kiefer's. Quite a lot is actually located in West Prehevil, although if you're just collecting the effigies to get to the end of the game, you don't really have to explore much of it at all, so interesting. Better remember to equip Karin before we get too far along. Let me see. Yeah, it looks like we still don't have anything better than the pipe wrench at this point. Let's see. The chainmail dress on her. Of course, give her a small things amulet. I'll give her a ballistic shield for safety. And anything else I want to give her? May as well give her the Ring of Wraiths. What the heck? And let me see. Let me just go over Marina's. Oh, why is she, what was she on? Did I unequip her by mistake when I meant to equip on it? Ow, that's dumb. Okay, it's not a huge deal though. Death mask. So yeah, it looks like Abella has some of our equipment. Somebody in the comments gonna be pointing out the mistake I made there, and I'm just gonna not be able to do anything about it. Oh well. This is gonna set us back a little bit when later in the video, but not by a huge amount. And I made sure to unequip Levi, so we're gonna have some stuff from him that I'm gonna be able to use later. We'll just leave the screaming men to the... Man, I can't believe I unequipped Marina instead of Abella. Silly me, but it's okay. As soon as I was going through the helmets, I saw the death mask was there. I was like, wait a second, something's not right. I haven't decapitated this guy. That will not do. We have to satiate our desire to collect trophies, alright? So, once again, we're heading into the bombed-out Western Prehevil, so we want to be careful going through here because there are copious numbers of mines scattered about. I do not want to step on those and get sent back to the bar, or rather to the school, because I got blown to smithereens. Let's see, I think we should be able to go forward this way. Oof, this area is playing a little bit on the game's frame rate. Not the most well-optimized game in the world, sadly. No, okay, I went the wrong way. We need to go in the direction of where we recruited Karin. I always get lost in this area. Not, like, super lost, just, like, I usually go the wrong way because it's a little confusingly laid out. Yeah, you know, the, being bombed out does kind of, change the, industrial layout of an area. Alright, so got a mine there. Just gonna go on past that. Here is a sewer lid. This maintenance shaft actually does not connect to any of the other sewer tunnels in the game, so this is one that purely just exists to be explored to find some additional loot. And as far as I'm aware, there's nothing too important here. Let's throw a tails. Hey, called it right. Oh, that is excellent. One of the best accessories in the game we just got right there. The Salmon Snake Rune. The Salmon Snake Rune gives you full limb protection. It makes you immune to losing your limbs. Additionally, it gives you immunity to burning, gives you immunity to bleeding, and by extension of the bleed immunity, it also gives you immunity to infection, which is not mentioned in the description. It does not give you any, defensive value, does not have any damage resistance, but the main effects of it is just so good that who cares, you know? It gives you protection against so many things. Admittedly, burning isn't a terribly common ailment. There aren't that many things in the game that use it against you, but bleed and infection are super common. Of course, limb loss is something we're always going to be apprehensive about, so it's just so great to have that. Alright, once again, gotta be careful here. Mines all over the place. And, okay, get behind this. As you can see, there's a rifleman over there, so we're just going to quickly run up, just take this guy down. Don't have to worry too much about what he can do. Everybody can just laser focus his body. Take him out that way. There we go, no problem. However, that's not the only guy around here. We also got this guy wandering around. This actually does not deal too much damage, so I'm just gonna take a... yeah... But we've got a soldier here, a soldier ghoul. This guy can actually be revived using necromancy and become a party member for you. Although we're well past the point where I'd actually care about ghouls. Ghouls are essentially only really helpful as meat shields. But we can search him and take some ammo off of him, get a couple 9mm bullets. And we'll just take this guy's head. I'll leave the soldier, just in case I do want to show off necromancy, although there are several other soldiers that we can find throughout the game, so it's not too important. Just a little side area that we can dive into. You don't have to come in here, but there is a little storeroom here, filled with a variety of items for us to take. Oh, and of course, there is a Poe. One of the few times you can encounter him without there being a radio present. And like all the other times we've encountered this guy, we can just leave the place, and he's gone for good, so no need to worry about him. Don't worry, we will be getting into a fight with a Poe later. There is one area that will be perfect to show them off, and it'll also be at a point where we have access to magic, so I can have ways to damage him beyond just having Marcoh punch him into submission. It is very, very amusing that you can have Marcoh punch ghosts down. Technically, any character can punch ghosts into submission, but Marcoh, of course, due to his quick jabs, is by far the most effective at it. Ooh, nice, a shotgun shell. But yeah, just a whole bunch of stuff to collect here. This door is actually locked on both sides, weirdly, so you have no choice but to break it, because it is not a pickable door. Very odd. And some wine casks. I kind of wish there was more of these in the game, because I think there's only 6 altogether. So once you've used up these ones, you're going to have a ton of glass vials just sitting in your inventory not doing anything. And once again, I failed a coin toss. Oh, okay, so the lock is broken. That's why that points that out. Whatever the case, you can also push this. There's a lot you can do in this place, although none of it really matters. Whatever. Alright, but just another place to collect some supplies there. Always handy, always handy. Actually, before I forget, let me see here. I want to give the artificial soul to Marcoh here. We're going to be using Mischief of Rats in the very near future, and that's such a hefty mine cost. I'd like to reduce it by any amount I can. Here's another area where it's very easy to accidentally run forward and dash into some mines. Additionally, at that city gate, I mentioned this in part 3B when we were playing Isabella, or rather as Marina, but when you enter the city through the forest, which, hey, is that Olivia? Why is she running around? When you enter the city through the forest, and you haven't already seen Pocket Cat, he can be waiting for you at the western city gate, which is, it's the same exact scene, it's just a different location you can see him, so it's kind of interesting. Olivia, what are you doing out here? I got bored just sitting inside. The forest bed already fascinated me yesterday, and I just had to inspect it closer. I'm a botanist, you see. A botanist, you see. I'm a botanist, you see. I have a condition, you see. Where are the others? Well, most people have already left the city. Because I have a condition, you see. I'm a botanist. Okay. I'm gonna presume that you are not the real Olivia, in case that wasn't obvious enough. What are you doing? And, like expected, you think this is a fair fight? Why are you doing this? Want me to scratch your eyes out? Fortunately, Olivia is, or rather, Doppelganger Olivia, not that much of a threat. We can just laser focus her torso and take her out that way. Interestingly, usually the Doppelgangers have the exact same damage resistance as the fightable contestants, but looks like this one actually does have slightly better resistance. Usually they're 120% vulnerable to all damage types, but we get a nice mix of herbs, Alchemilla Volume 1, if you somehow don't have it at this point, which, if you searched every bookshelf up to this point, you absolutely will have it. The game is actually kind of forgiving in that regard, and of course we're just going to take her head. You know what, I better craft up some mixed herbs. We haven't really been doing that, and I've got a good supply of herbs to use. Anything else I want to make? Just looking over everything. Got goulash over there. Don't have any penny buns to make any mushroom stews, but we're not really in a pressing need of hunger restoratives. Okay. See that little discolored section of the yellow leaves there? There is a spike pit trap there. If you walk over it, you will fall in and you will be killed. It is something you are almost certainly going to blunder into the first time you come to this place. Also, hi, Owl Cultist. We're just going to blast this guy's torso. I actually do want to sandbag a bit so we can show off this guy's unique mechanic, and we should likely be able to finish him off before it becomes a big problem for us. He tilts his head, and he plays a distraught melody. This summons in something from the other side. This owl spirit, owl sprite, is one of the few ghost-type enemies in the game. I tend to forget he exists, and I often say there's only 2 ghost-type enemies, but technically this guy is one too. But he, once again, does not deal any body damage. Instead, if you leave it be for a turn, it'll eventually go for an insta-kill attack on you. Naturally, you don't want that to happen. Fortunately, we've already weakened this guy enough. Owl Cultist, not too difficult. Just take him down like that. I should have tried stealing from him and see what he has. Alright, and just take his head off. These guys actually have rather deformed and elongated necks. Very strange-looking individuals. I was expecting this forest to be dead and silent like the rest of this wicked area. Instead, something feels even too lively down here. You guys feeling the same? Maybe it's just paranoia, but I just feel like there's something constantly moving in the woods, just slightly out of our view. This place is called the Maiden Woods. Can you guess where the name comes from? Yep, you probably guessed it. They used to sacrifice temple maidens here to appease the gods. Not the first guess I would have made, but I guess that makes sense for Prehevil. But yes, this is the Maiden Woods, and this is a fairly extensive area, and you don't actually have to come here to complete the game, but it is required to come here for one of the game's endings. So I'm just going to go slowly, because I haven't memorized where all the pits are. I can see one right there, so let's just juke around that. I'm going to pick up some of these golden chanterelles, although honestly, I don't think I have any oil, so being able to craft more yellow vials will not really help us. Oh, hey, jerk. Yes, these guys can shoot you with poison needles on the field, which is fairly annoying. You know what, since I mentioned it, let's just attempt to steal from this guy. Looks like we actually... Oh, never mind. I was going to say it looked like we avoided the poison, but no, we did get poisoned. It just wasn't obvious immediately. Let's see. Hey, a condensed blue. That is actually really good. Condensed blue is one of the strongest healing items in the game, restoring 125 HP. Very potent. And we'll just use up all our rev points to finish this guy off, so we don't have to worry about the owl pecking our head off. As you can see, there are some fecal hounds around here. Also, these guys are among the handful of enemies that are actually capable of poisoning you. Hey, a lucky coin. Always nice. And we'll just take his head, as usual. Not even give this guy a chance to get back up, assuming he could. Now, this area that I'm going into, it is actually optional, and for the most part, there's nothing here. However, there is a kind of hidden, although, once again, something that doesn't really do anything, NPC that will appear here during the night, singing a song. Kind of interesting, but again, nothing too special. We're just going to leave the fecal hound about its business, since it is terrified of Marcoh and it will not attack him. Yeah, they're just going to wander on. But hey, if you want to shoot these things down, or even just fight them in a legitimate fight, you get some free heads there to turn in. We've got so many soul stones at this point, and so many soul stones, and we're pretty much already guaranteed to get all the things I could care to have. Inside this tent, there's a ammo box with, hey, that is actually one of the best things you can get from it. 3 shotgun shells. Very nice. I'm not thinking about it. There is actually some extra dialogue we can get if we bring Dan along, but it's not terribly interesting, so that's not a big deal I left him behind. Master this and master that. That's what the others say, right? Well, don't expect that same courtesy from us, the frogs. We bow to no one. So, yes, mastery over vermin allows us to talk to frogs, and they are less friendly to us than the mice and the rats. Oh, man. Let myself get poisoned again. Alright, just gonna use up one of these numerous white vials we got, as well as a blue vial, since we need to get back some of that HP I've been losing. Okay, let's just search this guy for all he's got. Hey, 10 shillings, very nice. Not that I'm really gonna buy anything for the rest of this playthrough, but, you know, I appreciate having it. Alright, the owl cultist head. Hey, penny buns, we could use more of these to make more mushroom stews. Always like having the ability to craft more of those. Does not look like there's anything over this way, really. Marcoh is starting to feel hungry. Well, suck it up, Marcoh. Now, there are actually some paths through the trees. One of them we have to take, another that just leads to a little bonus scene, should you find it. Just pick up the penny buns here. Now, there's one other frog that I want to talk to. This guy right here. This guy's funny. The frog makes faint sounds. Should. You're supposed to be our new master? I don't think so. And believe me, neither do any the other of my kind. Did I mention should? I like you should. Now, heading over this way, some headless hounds. But ultimately not anything too frightening. Headless hounds were some of the earliest enemies in the game we could fight, and obviously we are well beyond what they're capable of at this point. A bunch of nettles to grab here. Anything in here? No. Looks like this is a dead end, even though it seems like you should be able to go to the right there. There's just one other thing to check out over this way. Some more penny buns, of course. Make plenty of stews out of those. And, looks like a campfire. The wooden branches are all burnt. Only charcoal remains. Looks like someone has kept a camp here recently. This is actually the campsite of August, who likes to hang out in this creepy place. You can actually find him during the evening of, I believe, this night. If not, you can definitely find him during night 3. And if you've seen a certain cutscene, there is actually an interaction you can get with him out of that. We have not seen that cutscene, though, so we're not even going to worry about that. At the moment, anyway. Now, here we are, and this is actually the ruined shack north of the train. Once you get over this way, you can drop this ladder, and we can get back to the train. So, you know what? Let's just pop in on Olivia real quick, just to see the real Olivia. As I said, we're not going to be able to recruit her in this playthrough. Oh, hey, green herb that I missed. We're not going to be able to recruit her in this playthrough since... Oh, hey, another rat. Just follow this guy and talk to him. Your faint sounds coming from the crack on the wall. It's not safe for us. It's not safe, Master. You should leave. Or crawl into a tiny hole. Maybe this will keep you safe. And we get a blue vial. Thank you. But yeah, we're not going to be able to recruit Olivia on this playthrough because the scene that we were required to see in order to spawn her wheelchair just simply isn't available. What are you sitting here for? I got bored just sitting inside. The forest bed already fascinated me yesterday, so I just had to inspect it closer. I'm a botanist, you see. Bohemia's got a rich and unique flora, and I've read quite a bit about it, but it's a different thing to finally see it in real life. I already spotted some wild daga over there. It's a plant that simply doesn't grow in Europa. Usually I expect someone to have planted it here, but it looks to be growing here naturally. Interesting. Now, you would think that maybe talking to Olivia about her condition would cause the wheelchair to appear, but I have tested it. It does not. The wheelchair, just as far as I can see, it just isn't available. So don't even concern yourself about recruiting her if you're playing the game like I am. Now, if we weren't playing as Marcoh, and I was actually strongly tempted to play as Levi as my main character just for this, the scene, even if Tanaka was dead, would be available to see that would spawn in Olivia's wheelchair, and we could get her that way, but ultimately I decided that Marcoh was a better character to go with to demonstrate as much of the game as possible, so that's what I went with. Was it the right decision? I don't know. People seem to be enjoying these videos, though, so I'm not going to contest it too much. Alright, heading over this way. Little secret path that we can get into from here, plus another blue herb. Looks like everybody's starting to feel hungry. Yeah, let's feed everybody up. We got all those mushroom stews. Give Marcoh the moldy bread, since he'll get a lot more mileage out of it. And just use some mushroom stews here to feed up everybody else. Remember, no good unused. Alright, we've reached the deepest woods. Hey, it's one of the moths. We've got to be in the right place. Wonder what's here, though. Well, let's go a little bit forward and... oh, goodness! This thing is looking a little... should I censor this? Where would I even put it? Nah. I mean, this thing is so abstract, I don't even really think it would matter that much. So, this thing, we absolutely want to hit it with Mischief of Rats. I'm also going to attempt to burn it, and by that same token, let's chuck an ornament lantern at it, just in case Marina's pyromancy trick fails. But this thing is very nasty. Its hind legs at the end of the turn can use the Stampede ability, an ability that hits your entire party for... oh, never mind. Ooh, ow. Ooh, this is dicey. Okay. Let's see here. That was rough. That was brutal. Okay. Oof. So, let's see. We did get the burn on it, though. So it can use Stampede even if its legs are disabled. I did not know that. So if you want to make sure it's not using that, you do have to destroy the legs. Let's see. Let me... I'm gonna need to keep up on healing here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have Marcoh throw that at it. Just gonna have Marina use a blue vial on herself. Have Karin use a mixed herbs on herself. Do that, and then we're just gonna have everybody guard on this turn to reduce the damage from Stampede. At least I think it should. Oh, goodness! No! Marina got killed. So, despite what I was hoping to accomplish with this Let's Play, we're going to get a game over because I don't want her to die. So, that's a disaster and a half. I did not expect that to happen at all. So, we'll just let this thing kill us. And we will see our first game over of Fear and Hunger, but yeah, this thing, absolutely disastrous. I did not expect that to happen at all. Stampede is such a deadly ability. Marcoh was defeated. You know what that means? I have to go back and redo all that stuff and probably get way inferior items. It's okay, though. Alright, here we are, back at the deepest woods again. I've done some equipment change-ups. Now, unfortunately, we did not get the Salmon Snake Soul again, so that's a good accessory loss. But we did get a also interesting one, the Eye of Sylvian. This increases the healing power of heal items by 50%, so it's pretty good. I've done some lineup changes. I've brought Dan along so I can get the dialogue inside the area that we're going to go to. And I've given Marina the Hardened Heart. I've noticed a little too late that she had zoophobia, so that's why she took so much damage on the second attack. We're going to attempt to mitigate the damage this guy can deal this time around. Let me see, what else did I make any other notable changes? Not really. So let's see if we can't stop this guy. I'm going to attempt to burn him again, but I also want to try and blind him, so let me see here. So yeah, we can I'm not sure which head governs its accuracy, so we're just gonna throw glass shards at both. Marina will focus on burning this guy, and with the Hardened Heart, she should be able to tank a hit from him. So, hit that one, burn his body, hit that head. Now, as long as he gets blinded here... Marina did end up taking... Okay, so that one's blinded. That one is not blinded. Marina did end up taking some nasty damage there, but fortunately, Hardened Heart came in the clutch and actually prevented her from dying there. She does have reduced evasion against this guy. Let me see. And he is burned, so now we can focus on dealing some damage to him. Let me see here. Yeah, I don't have to worry about having Marina guard there, because the Hardened Heart will save her on the second hit. And now, let's focus on disabling his legs and hopefully prevent Stampede. Once the legs are disabled, the Centaur will not use, or resort to different attacks compared to Stampede. Okay, let me see. Alright, we're gonna need to do some healing here. Marcoh... Yeah, let's just have everybody heal up here. Whoops, I did not craft the mixed herbs in this playthrough. That's okay. We'll just have them heal up. And we do have light blue vial in reserve, so we'll do that. Gotta do some crafting here. You do not have to fight this thing. In fact, it's pretty advisable that you don't bother fighting it. I'm just doing it for the principle of the thing. Man, I am so embarrassed that I let myself get killed by this thing. Yeesh, is it even worth it to take out the hind legs? Ooh, oh, ow! That was, particularly nasty. This thing actually triggers 3 different phobias. It triggers erotophobia, it triggers teratophobia, and it triggers zoophobia, so that it can deal a lot of damage to a ton of different people you can bring to this fight. But we did manage to kill it. Yeesh. That was not good at all. Oof, and I burned through so many items there. So let's craft up some new healing items. We kind of need them now. Yeah, get a whole bunch of herbs there. Anything of note on this thing? No. Well, we're gonna take its head just for the trophy. But again, the Centaur only moves in a straight line, so you can very easily juke it, and honestly, I would just advise against fighting this thing. It does so much damage. I'm no veterinarian, but let's give this a look. The skin of the beast looks like a mix of burns and boil damage. Some of the injuries seem to originate from inside the creature. Can't avoid the elephant in the room, either. There's clearly a human body thrown into the mix. I don't even want to guess how that happened. The body looks vulnerable to piercing and slashing attacks, especially. Interesting. Better, give everybody a quick, boost of food here. Dan, you're looking a little peckish there. And, of course, feed up Marina. And let's see, use one of our... Actually, let's swap around our items, since I don't need the Eye of Sylvian on Marcoh anymore. I was just there in case he took a lot of damage. No, not the ballistic shield. Let's just give him his gas mask back. We'll just quickly throw this on Dan, and that'll bring the healing of the blue vial up to 45 body, which will heal him fully. Very nice. Alright, with that taken care of, and yes, I know that I missed that penny bun, we can find, bunker muffles all outside sound. Random scribblings fill the notebook. We might not reach paradise today, not in 10 years, maybe not even in our lifetime, but know that we are laying down the foundation, the roots that will grow and bring mankind to the promised land. Take great pride in knowing this. Interesting. So, we found tunnel number 1, the mysterious bunker in the woods, and it looks like Rayla, she wants us to go into this elevator, but there is no power. So, this is much like Tunnel 7. We have to find the gas generator and juice it up so that we can actually use this thing. And there's a bunch of things to search here. These lockers may have some handy items for us. There are several chests located throughout the place. Just searching all of this. Okay. Hey, vodka, very nice. It's not a note we can read. Let's open up some of the chests here, see if I can't get the lost salmon snake soul. We'll just do a throw for fun, and of course, Goocher. Oh well. Severed arm. And hey! It's a flesh job. Or a sew job, rather. Somebody has been sewing different body parts together. The sew job seems to be a work in progress still. How does that thing even function, seriously? Probably nothing we really need to concern ourselves with. Heading over this way. What in God's name is that thing? Let's just ignore that for a moment. I do not feel like dealing with that thing. Let's just quickly pop open this chest. Of course. Having no luck with these right now. Ooh. Can somebody say human centipede? There's actually nothing you can do with this very unfortunate creature. Yeah, no matter where you interact with it, it does not look like you can do anything with it. Would hate to become a part of that thing. Alright, some 12 gauge shells, very nice. 9mm bullets, always appreciated. Saw blade. I've read that saw blades have a chance of causing bleed. Here's a gasoline canister. You need 2 gasoline canisters, and there are 2 located here, should you not have any before going into the bunker, but I do have everything we need. But I've read that saw blades have a slight chance of causing bleed, although I've never actually seen it come through for me. Alright, with that all said and done, who the heck is that? Well, she's looking for a brawl. Stitches, eh? Stitches trying to gesture something, but you make sense of her. I'm guessing there was a can't that was missed there. Alright, we're going to hit her with Mischief of Rats to disable her arm. Stitches does not have a coin flip attack, at least to my knowledge. But she does hit pretty hard, so I'd rather avoid any damage that she can deal. Especially since I don't really have good counter-offensives, and I don't have everybody equipped to bear. Now, on the second turn, the living flesh will come into play. I'm just gonna have Marina burn that thing real quick. Dan and Marcoh should be able to just kill Stitches through conventional force at this point with all the torso damage she took on the first turn. Definitely with a crit. She only has about, let's say, like 900 or 1,000 torso HP, so I probably could have killed her in the first turn with some high damage rolls, but obviously that's not a guaranteed thing. The living flesh, on the other hand, not too threatening. It mostly just attacks with tackles that deal relatively low damage. Yeah, so nothing too threatening there. Unfortunately, it looks like the burn failed to stick, so we're just gonna have to beat it down. It's also vulnerable to pretty much every type of attack that you can hit it with. Very grotesque-looking thing. Not even sure what this could possibly be. But yeah, this is not a difficult fight at all, especially if you disable Stitch's scalpel arm. She just will completely falter, and let me have Dan do some double spear strikes here. Just to get his HP back. That's the one big advantage of having Dan over Karin, is that he can wield those two-handed weapons. One thing to note about the Living Flesh is that it also has lower than normal agility, so you can potentially double it even without Small Things Amulets or boosted speed, which is kind of interesting. Alright, well, let's get a look at these things. It has nothing of value. Dan, what the heck can you make of this? This thing looks to be a lumpy mass of fat and muscles. It is barely able to function. Examining the stitching marks, it looks like the entity consists of multiple different humans sewed together. Could it be an artificial life of some kind? Because the creature is butt naked, is vulnerable to all kinds of attacks. Yeah, we kinda noticed that. Let's take a look at this person. 15 shillings. Dan, what do you gotta say about this person? This person looks to have a rather normal female body. A little bit more muscular than usual, perhaps, but nothing out of the ordinary. She has sewn her mouth partially shut, and there appears to be more stone cuts scattered around her body. Their purpose is unknown, but they do distort her face beyond recognition. Dan looks shaken up. His eyes are wide as he stares at the woman. What's wrong? Let's just go. I really need fresh air. If you are playing as Dan, you will get additional information about who Stitches really is. Additionally, he'll have a similar reaction to Needles, although not quite as pronounced. But yes, there is more to Stitches than meets the eye, and she has a connection with Dan. What that connection is, well, we're not going to find that out in this playthrough, and probably not in this Let's Play, because it's very, very minor. It's like 30 seconds of dialogue, maybe. So I'm not particularly interested in going out of my way for that. Heading over here, there is the gasoline generator, which let's just power this up just to get it out of the way. I'm going to locate the other gas can that you can find here, just so you know where it is if you come here without any gasoline canisters, but we found so many spares that I could have easily bypassed fighting Stitches. Stitches does not appear unless you go into the room with the gasoline canister and the bullets, so you can avoid her entirely. The living flesh, is also in an area you don't have to go to if you're able to power the generator when you first reach here. So again, it's not something you really have to worry about too much. Okay, let's just pop open this chest, throw a heads. Of course. Yeah, I'm able to tell. I've played this game so much, I'm able to tell when a coin is just not going to land the way I want it to. If you can see the heads when it's about to land, that means it's going to flip to tails, and if you see the tails when it's about to land, it's going to flip to heads. There is the other gas canister, pressure plate, whole bunch of scrap materials that we're not going to be able to do anything with. I really wish there was something we could do with those. And this is a dead end unless you have a Bella with you, which we do not, so we have to walk all the way around. One thing to note about the living flesh is that if you attack it and the fight goes on for longer than a turn, which it probably will because it has very high HP, Stitches will come in to join the fray like the living flesh would for her. Getting a little confused here. It's, has very samey looking aesthetics in this tunnel. Better give Marcoh a boost of vodka there. We got so much to use. You may notice that I seem to be stuck in the running animation. That's a bug that has existed with running since the game has added the functionality. I am not going the right way at all. There we go. But sometimes you just get stuck in the animation and you can run for far longer than your stamina should be able to support. It usually goes away after 1 or 2 screen transitions. Let's go on down. Alright, so what awaits us? What was Rayla trying to show us here? One can only wonder. Alright, couple things to check out here. First, we want to head to the right. And, that's strange. This door isn't usually open. Yeah, whatever. There's a bench grinder on the table. Looks pretty heavy. This is a material that we got from the meat grinder mob, and again, this can be used to build the meat grinder if you're playing as Bella, or you've killed her and you have her weapon craft skill. There are numerous books about new sciences and advanced engineering. And what do we got here? There's a mysterious letter on the table. You find coded letter number 2. Unfortunately, because we're not Bella, we cannot read that letter, so nothing going there. But that's everything that I really wanted to show off here, so let's just get to the main attraction of this place. Someone is approaching you from the darkness. Hey, it's Osa! Looks hurt, though. What's that sticking out of his arm? Stand back. I have no interest in you if you remain docile. The yellow mage is looking pale and weak. Just stand back. Are you alright? I am in better shape than how it may appear. So don't get any ideas. It is none of your concern anyway. Just continue on with your business, and I will do the same. We can't just leave you hurt like that. You wouldn't be offering your pity if you knew what I am truly capable of. And I definitely do not need that pity either. Just continue on with your business, and I will do the same. What is your business? Do I look like I'm in a shape where I would explain my goings? Why not amuse me with your motives instead? Well, I mean, this bunker is here, and it seems to be tied to the events going on. Do you understand this machinery and technology? I'd like to think so. Especially if we had a Bella with us, I think we'd have a good understanding. Don't get this the wrong way, but maybe it would be beneficial for both parties if we joined our forces for the time being. Hey, perfect idea! Could always use more parties. The Yellow Mage of the South joins your party. I'm guessing that's supposed to be narration text and not Osa saying it, but it is pretty funny to think that he says that. But yes, we get Osa, and he joins slightly in a worse state. Osa seems to be observing his surroundings. Who shot that arrow on you? That's between me and the person who did this. You will know it if we run into him. I can guarantee you that much. Doesn't look like a regular arrow, though. It is not a regular arrow. It is enchanted, or cursed, rather. It appears to suppress the otherworldly capabilities when hit. It's an interesting little thing, for sure. Depending on how you approach that conversation, Osa can also rip the thing out and cause some damage to himself. He comes in at only 40 body, so we just want to quickly restore him. And let's go over Osa's abilities, shall we? He comes in with 2 skills, hurting, a spell, an attacking spell that can be cast for 20 mind and requires a rev point. It's really bad, though. I don't like it at all. The other, more interesting skill he has is La Danse Macabre. This is a passive that, as each turn goes, Osa will begin to accrue magical power, and it scales pretty ridiculously. It caps out after 3 turns, like Adrenaline Rush, and it's supposed to give you plus 64 magic attack, which is already pretty impressive. But for whatever reason, it has a very, very strange interaction with magic boosting equipment, where it pushes your damage up by an additional 100 points if you have a magic boosting piece of equipment, which we just so happen to do. We're going to give Osa the Death Mask to increase his magic attack. As you can see, due to a bug, Osa starts with maxed out La Danse Macabre, so putting the Death Mask onto him immediately boosts his magic attack up to 180. And if we can get any more items that boost his magic attack, well, just so much the better. Let me see here. We'll give him the Officer's Sword, since it's a strong weapon. Give him the leather armor. I actually did remember to unequip a Bella this time. The Beheaded Wizard accessory has a chance of reflecting magic attacks. I believe it is 30%. But magic attacks are fairly rare, and they are not that much of a threat to begin with, and the Beheaded Wizard is such an unreliable accessory, I don't recommend keeping it equipped at all. We're going to give him the Artificial Soul, we're going to give him a Small Things Amulet, and we're going to give him the Ballistic Shield, and hold still for a second, Osa. I'm sure you're familiar with this trick. Let's just quickly engrave him with the Sigil of Fear and Hunger, and now everybody we can use is sped up and able to double turn everything. Very nice. If we had a Bella, we could just use her to short-circuit this lock, but we do not, so we just have to smash through it. Fortunately, with the amount of firepower we have at our disposal now, it is no problem to break this door. I was gonna say, if I'm wrong there, I'm gonna feel like such an idiot. Nothing too important here, not any ammo or anything, just more crafting items if you need them, or occasionally no crafting items. Boy, I've got so many bullets. I really wish there was a way to get some crafting recipes that actually use these items without playing Isabella, but unfortunately, in the current version of the game, that just is not the case. Alright, heading over this way, we found, hey, it's another one of these things. Been a while since we've seen one of these, not since the first video, a Telectroscope. Well, let's connect it to logic. And that is the extent of what we can do at this bunker. So now we can actually get out of here. Nothing else going for us here. We've beheaded Stitches. I wonder how Dan feels about that. Who could Stitches be, though? I'm honestly considering whether or not I should just say it, because we're not going to be seeing Dan as a protagonist in this Let's Play. It's not a big deal. If you're curious, you can look it up. Or play the game yourself. I'd highly recommend it. I enjoy this game a ton. Hey, Penny Bun and green herbs. Alright, so many more items to grab. Now we've more or less done everything that I care to do in Deep Woods. More items to grab, I guess. But yeah, we can move on from here. And I'm just weighing my options. Let me see. I'm going to have to cut out a pretty significant portion of the video because of the death I had. You know what? Let's go for it. Let's go for, once again, a lengthier video. So we're actually going to go to the next major area that we need to go. We'll just ignore this guy right here. Don't need anything they can provide him. But unusually for this Let's Play, we actually are going to take an opportunity to rest mid-video. Now that we've recruited Osa, we don't have to worry about engaging in hostilities with him throughout the town or the city of Prehevil. I have read that he is available to recruit anytime on day 2, but I've not personally tested this myself. But I have confirmed that if he does spawn in another area where he can potentially become hostile, as long as you do not engage in fights with him, and I actually did not get this stuff from here, I just want to grab this. As long as you do not engage in a fight with him, you will be fine to recruit him at the bunker. Osa is also able to be recruited on day 1, should you be able to reach the bunker, though this isn't terribly practical. So what we want to do is we actually want to rest here. I just want to make sure that I've got all my soul stones. So let me go through our inventory here and make sure we have a good supply of soul stones. 21, more than enough. So let's take a rest here. Alright, Prehevil. Looks like everybody else is doing fine, so no need to worry about the goings-ons of the other contestants. But what we do want to do is use the Hexen here. So, now we have maxed out all of our capabilities with Grogroth, plus with Sylvian, so we have full access to their abilities now. So let's start passing some of these around. I'm going to teach Loving Whispers to Marcoh, but I'm not going to learn Healing Whispers, the multi-targeting healing spell yet. I'm going to save that for later. What I am going to do is, let's learn Necromancy real quick. I'm actually going to teach this to Marcoh, but every other spell... actually, this one can also go to Marcoh. Black Smog, though, going to give that to Osa. Going to give Blood Golem to Osa. And we're going to give Black Orb to Osa. And Osa is going to be our dedicated offensive caster. While I'm thinking of it, let's just get some of the other things we can get here. Going to learn Counter Stance on Marcoh. We'll also learn Melee Proficiency, which increases accuracy with melee weapons. And we're going to get Master Chef, which teaches us a whole bunch of new recipes that we can use to craft food that buffs you in battle. Eat it before going into a fight, and you will have access to stat buffs. Now, let's take a look at the spell we unlocked from defeating the Tormented One, Chains of Torment. This is the strongest spell in the game, but it is actually somewhat impractical to use, because it costs a whopping 80 mind to cast. I'm going to give it to Osa, and I'll show it off at least once, but I actually would not really recommend using that spell, but it is there. And I will be overriding the save later, but let's just make a safety save in case I screw something up. I'm not overly concerned about that, but you know, it's always a possibility. With that all said and done, I'm just going to leave Olivia to her foraging here, and we're going to head towards the sewers. I already did this in the Abella video, but it's not a terribly long thing we have to do, so we're just going to see that again, just in case anybody skipped that video. And it wasn't required watching, at least I don't think, just more fear and hunger goodness, should you have been curious to see it. But we're heading towards a, actually a major boss fight in the game, so get excited for that. It also has one of my favorite songs in the game. Alright, let's pop this open right here, and head into the sewers. Now, we actually can fight the neighbor demons that frequent the sewers, or inhabit the sewers, not frequent. But I'm mostly going to ignore them, just because it's a waste of time and resources to take them on. But let's follow all these rats. Follow them into this little trash home here. Oh, Master, you understand us? That is incredible indeed. It reeks here. We hear people think we vermin like it down here. Not true. But at least there are no much murderous humans here. We stole these from some of the humans. Take them. You might need them more than we do. And you get 4 shotgun shells. Very, very nice. Speaking of 4 shotgun shells, you know what? Just for some fun. Yo, neighbor. That was not supposed to happen. Sometimes your shots sail through enemies, which is really, really annoying. Especially when it's with something that has rare ammo, like the trench gun. But I just wanted to show that off. It is fun to shoot things every now and again. So, we're just going to make a beeline for the area that we need to go. One thing to note is that if Caligura is alive by the night of day 2, a certain monster will appear in the sewers and can attack you at random places. We're not going to be seeing that in this playthrough, but maybe we'll see it in another playthrough. Just get some items here. Could always use a few more. I love collecting supplies. It's one of my favorite things to do. What do you guys think about this sewer locale? Why again are we walking through this piss and poo? At least there are less crazed locals down here. So if you have to think up some positives, there's that. Osa is looking a little pale. Don't look at me. Let's just get out of here. I'm guessing Osa is even less of a fan of everybody else than, or less of a fan of this than even the rest of the party. You know what? This is a great place to have a little picnic, guys, so let's just eat up real quick. Yeah, I have some good mushroom stew in the sewers. Don't you guys love it? chunky. Alright. Marina's mind is getting a little low. I'm actually gonna give her a beer real quick. Dan, look away for a second. Okay, there we go. She's fine now. And let's just go forward. There should be another chest here. I gotta go for every chance to reobtain the salmon snake soul. So disappointed that we lost that. Got so many purifying talismans. Hey, finally got a coin flip I called correctly. Soul Devourer necklace. Useless. Alright, let's just grab these last bit of supplies. And heading into this area is the sewage treatment plant, and we've got a puzzle here. What do you guys think of this? All the sewer pipes intersect here? Surprisingly not that smelly here, considering. The air at least flows a little better here. Makes things just a tad more bearable. Osa is just observing the sewage system. Osa is a fairly taciturn individual, though he'll occasionally trade barbs with Dan. Whoa, excuse me, did not mean to let that one out. Let's read the instructions here. The water pressure must be maintained at a maximum of 50% to not create cloggages to the sewer system. As a safety precaution, you can only disable 50% of the water pipes coming from western Prehevil and 50% of the water pipes coming from the eastern Prehevil. So, we've got to disable these sewage flows in the correct order to open up pathways so that we can create a path forward, plus a path leading to Prehevil Bop. We're going to drop that ladder to the left down, and that'll allow us a shortcut back to the shopping district, should we decide to go that way. We're probably actually not going to use it in this playthrough, but just for the sake of covering everything, we'll drop down the ladder here. We want to head to the right next, and push this box out of the way. I feel sorry for the people who did watch the Abella video, because this is seeming pretty redundant, but hey, it also helps to go over it again, in case you forgot. Not that it's a terribly complicated puzzle. When I first played this game, the aspect I got stuck on in this puzzle was actually really, really silly, and it was a case of me overthinking things. But we'll talk about that. We want to flip this switch to the left here and just leave that off for the rest of the game. Again, probably not going to make use of it, but just in case. If you came to the sewers first, though, instead of going into the city, then absolutely you want to make sure to have that set that way for the rest of the game. Our next order of business is we want to push this box right here. We want to push it under the sewage flow. You can probably already figure out what we're going to be doing here. We're going to flip that switch on. It'll blast the box out of the way and create an opening so that we can push that box that is just past it. And that is actually where I got stuck on this forever. I thought for sure there was some way you're supposed to be able to push that other box so that you could blast it out of the way. But no, it actually goes past the door you can see at the edge. But you've heard the loud clanking noise. The box is down in the water. We can get past it. And that box that was just past it can be pushed past the door, allowing us to get into the area that it leads to. So, yeah, nothing too complicated there. Let's just push this thing out of the way. And where does this lead us? So just sewer back rooms, but looks like there's a ladder leading even deeper. What's beyond here? More sewers for excess sewage? Okay, that was probably a silly thing to say, but you know. It is cold down here. The foundations of decay. Hey, it's a rat person. Wasn't able to catch him, though. Oh dear. Pile of rotting bodies. What are your guys' thoughts on this? I never knew these caverns existed. Prehevil manages to surprise me all these years later. I feel like we're soon venturing to the center of the earth at this rate. At every point we have just climbed deeper and deeper. An otherworldly darkness fills the air. Can you feel it? I wouldn't loiter around for too long if I were you. So, what exactly awaits us in this area? Well, there's a whole bunch of supplies to collect down here, which is pretty nice. We could use some restocking after all the junk that I used in the deepest woods. And over this way, there's another chest for us to grab. So many penny buns here. If you're low on food at this point, this place has tons of penny buns, allowing you to create mushroom stews, which is very much appreciated at this point in the game. That rat person is still going. You can just barely catch up with him, but you can't interact with him. You just have to let him go. Well, check out over here, though. It looks like there's some kind of satchel with a bottle of vodka and 5 blue vials. Very, very nice. In fact, we're getting so many blue herbs here that we're doing quite good on supplies. Now, just heading in a little deeper. Did you guys hear a wolf's howl? Alright. So, the blue moss indicate that we want to go this way, but what if we were to head this way, follow that rat creature, you know, and all the bones? I'm sure nothing could possibly go wrong here. Oh dear. Yes, we get led into an ambush. Suckers! And we have 6 Ratkin to deal with. This is the most enemies you fight in a single encounter in this game. We're going to, well, summon rats against them and actually stun them all. And let me see, I'm going to throw Murky Vial to attempt to get burn going on all of them, plus just spread some damage around. But Mischief of Rats should take most of these guys out of the fight for a couple turns and allow me to start thinning the herd. In fact, it took all of them out of the fight. Let me see here. Now that a turn has passed, we can have Osa use Black Smog to hit multiple enemies. And with La Danse Macabre in effect... Oh, you may have noticed also, we did not get an extra turn there. There are a handful of enemies in this game that are fast enough to deny you an extra turn. One of the few cases where you actually can come across that. Unfortunately, Black Smog did not blind them there, so we're going to want to throw out another Mischief of Rats. We're still fast enough, though, that we can avoid them going first and just take them down piece by piece. As you can see, Black Smog has relatively low damage, but it hits all enemies, and against most enemies... Oop, Bone Pike got through. Let me see, I'm gonna have Marcoh just use a vodka on himself. Make sure he has decent mind leaving the fight. If your mind hits 0 in a battle, you do not actually get strucken with panophobia, but you will get struck with it as soon as the fight ends, should you fail to heal yourself before it's over. Alright, that was easy peasy. And just quickly take some vodka there, and we'll finish this guy off. He's not even going to get a chance to go. There we go. So, bunch of Ratkin here. You can search them all, and not really anything. Dan, what do you think of these things? The frail and curious creature seems to share characteristics of both human and rat species. Not entirely sure whether this thing was originally a human that mutated to resemble a rat, or if it once was a rat that mutated closer to the shape of a human being. Whatever the case, it's clear that this miserable thing has none of the positive traits of either species. Not exactly a winner in gene lottery. The body seems weak against pretty much everything, except it has properties that make it durable against otherworldly powers. Interesting. Now, why would you want to go through that? Well, of course, there's a chest here, which we failed the coin flip on, but it doesn't matter. This chest, on the other hand, doesn't have a coin flip. This chest has a guaranteed Eye of Sylvian. The only way you can get that accessory in the game guaranteed... Let me see here. I'm just gonna quickly throw around beers to get everybody up to a decent mind. We have all these beers, so we may as well use them up. And let's go deeper into the cavern, see if we can't track down the source of that wolf's howl. What could it possibly be? I realize that sounds like a silly question in context, but you're probably not prepared for what it precisely could be. And let me see. Let me just make sure everybody is over 16 agility, and yeah. I get paranoid about this kind of thing. Alright, let's go forward. Something is approaching us. I just wanted to let the music play a little bit, because the song has really good build-up, and I absolutely love this song. It's one of my favorite in the game. But something large is approaching us from the darkness. Can almost make it out, but it looks like there's 3 eyes. Oh dear. Hey, wait a second. Is that... You know, that looks an awful lot like the creature Moonless from the first game. But, well, nothing to do yet. We still cannot attack it. Once it gets one step closer, though... it reveals itself. Okay, so Moonless has various targets that we want to hit, but the one we absolutely want to destroy first off is the Miasma. So I'm going to have everybody launch double attacks on that. Miasma has a attack that hits your entire party with poison damage for pretty considerable damage, and it bypasses accuracy checks. So if we blind Moonless, which is what we're going to do with Black Smog, we would take a ton of damage. I'm also going to allow Black Smog to burst that gasoline canister I threw down in an effort to hit Moonless with blinding or burning. There comes that. There we go. That destroyed the Miasma, and it also caused the Black Steel sword buried in Moonless to drop. Alright, Moonless is now blinded, so she is going to be exceptionally inaccurate. Let me see here. I'm going to focus on blasting him. I'm actually going to have Marina equip that sword that we got, Black Steel, one of the strongest one-handed weapons in the game, giving a cool, what is that? I want to say it's a 54 attack power. Pretty nice, so let's put that on real quick. Actually, 58, I think. Marina can use it since it's just a one-handed weapon. Let me see here. Let's show off the almighty power of Black Orb. I love this part of the song. But with La Danse Macabre and some magic boosting equipment, yeah, check out the damage there. Crazy stuff. It's actually rather undesirable that he attacks Marina since she has reduced evasion against him, but it's not too big a deal. And she's blinded, so we don't have to worry too much about what she can do. Let me see. We'll go for another Black Orb here. Black Orb does cost quite a lot of mind to cast, 30 without an artificial soul, so you can't just spam it all willy-nilly, or else you could run into a bad situation. Also does not have perfect accuracy, but there we go. We've won the fight. Very, very well handled. But, hold it. I'll take care of her. Easy, girl. Easy. You did good. These ones are not the enemy. They're friends. And thus, Moonless retreats. She is an old family acquaintance. She doesn't mean harm. I hope you're not hurt too badly. Let's see what do I got. It's not much, but hopefully these will help with the worst bite marks. You got Cloth Fragment and 2 Condensed Blues. Hold the bandage on that wound. Use the herbs so you don't get any scars. Take care out there, my friend. Well, that was interesting, but yes, that was Moonless from the first game. She is a lot bigger than she was in that game, though. But for defeating her, you get the Black Steel weapon, should you break it off of her, and it does not take much damage to get Black Steel to drop. Now, there are 2 elevators we can take. No power, but we do have access to the ropes, allowing us to climb down. Unfortunately, Miasma is not available to collect in the game. One thing to note is that if August is dead at this point, then he will not intervene in the fight, and Moonless actually will die. Let's see, random documents on the table. You find NLU Reconnaissance Report number 1 among the papers. Interesting. I'll have to take a look at that. Anything here? No. Some more ammo for us to pick up, so 5 9mm bullets and 2 12-gauge shells. Very nice. Heading over this way. Hey, is that Tanaka? Oh, okay. It's really troublesome. What has come of our train trip, especially when you have a big meeting scheduled at the city? Well, I can tell you're not really Tanaka. Then I swallow you whole. Alright, we're actually going to have Marcoh steal from this guy. I do fully intend to answer with violence. So let's just steal from him real quick. Have everybody take out his arm so he can't whack us with his suitcase. Oh wow, I can't believe I missed that. Fortunately, it does not have that much HP. Oh wow. We're hitting this guy really hard. And we get 35 shillings. This is the most shillings you can get from a single thing in the game. Either stealing from the real Tanaka or stealing from his doppelganger. On top of that, Tanaka and his doppelganger, when you kill them, drop an additional 20 shillings, plus a lucky coin, and a hat, and some broken glasses that I don't care about. If you use medical diagnosis on doppelgangers, Dan just says, they're dead. Not really much more to say about that. And let's connect the Telectroscope to logic. That is the final Telectroscope in the game. All 3 have been connected, and that gives us access to Ending A of the game, so we're just about ready to start getting into the, the endings of the game. There's still a little bit left to check out before we get into that, though. So let's climb up the rope here. And let's head out from Tunnel 4. Back in the Foundations of Decay, although a substantially different section of it. And we'll just grab all these penny buns here, stock up on ingredients to create mushroom stews. Incidentally, we can create mushroom stews plus now, which give you an evasion boost when you eat them, which can be very handy going into fights. That's an interesting place. The God Manifesto. Looks like it's seen better days, though. Let's just take a quick look at that God Manifesto, eh? I have read contrary beliefs, ridiculous beliefs even, from facets not to be named here, from an Effet Facet, well known in occult circles, despite his biased view on the world of the otherworldly. Just because this not-to-be-named dark priest wrote a book that is cited in most occult studies doesn't mean his words shouldn't be taken with a pinch. No, with a jar of salt. Words about the death of an older god especially are nothing short of absurd. How do you kill an idea, an inspiration, or one of primordial concepts once it is conceived? The thought will forever haunt your mind as long as consciousness is there to remind us of it. Once an older god is born, it has existed forever. A god like a human soul is not contained by linear time and space. It can reincarnate multiple times within our history and future history without us knowing any better. They spawn from the green stream, which spawns first, an older god in its physical form or the concepts of our consciousness gave birth to? The mockery, that is the new gods, the puppets yearning to become the puppeteers, should never be mistaken with the gods that dwell beyond our understanding. They are but byproducts of the immense influence of the older gods hold on us, just by flying too close to the sun, or why not moon, and one can attain a glimpse of the true intensity that is older gods. Men inherited the power from the beasts that walk before us. How could such power come even close to that of older gods? Interesting. Wonder what they're referring to, though, with a dead older god and books penned by someone you should have skepticism for. It doesn't come up too much, but all of the skin Bibles we've been collecting in this game are written by the Dark Priest from the first game, Enki. So, they're probably Enki that they're talking about in that God Manifesto there. Heading into this crypt here, find some more things to search. And we can light up this candle here. Now, let's take this elevator. Where does this elevator lead to? Well, we get two options, and you may recognize the design of it. But this is connected to the elevator leading to the Church of Ulmer. So now we have access back to the slums from here as well, and we can go back to Tunnel 4 should we want to via this elevator, though there isn't really any reason to do so. One thing to note is that if you access that elevator and go through it to get to the church, you can get into the basement of the church without dropping the chandelier, thereby preventing certain parts of it from being destroyed. And this is required to do if you want to fight a certain special boss. On top of that, by not dropping the chandelier and coming in through here, you can open up a lot of the gates and bypass large chunks of the basement and avoid a lot of the problems you'd run into from Crimson Fathers and the like. So it's very, very nice if you can get here from the sewers before coming into the city. And if you know what you're doing, it's actually not that difficult to defeat Moonless, so you can very well just defeat her right at the start of the game and come into the church this way and get a whole bunch of benefits and a head start on the game. The only other route into the church that doesn't, or the church basement that doesn't involve dropping the chandelier is, what is it? Using the Golden Gate skill from Rare. But I think that is where we're going to end this video. We're in just the right spot. I'm actually going to draw our first Ulmer sigil. Not that I'm really going to make use of this. I'm purely doing this just to demonstrate the concept of blood portals. Blood portals can warp you between any other portal you create. We've already used up most of the circles that we could create blood portals on, but there is one more I can think of, and honestly, this is not really a great shortcut, but it's there, and I just wanted to show it off, so that's what I'm doing here. Where we're going to use our second Book of Enlightenment here to save our progress, and that is where we're going to call it a video, if I can find my Book of Enlightenment. So let's just throw that open. It says the same thing every time you use one, so we'll just do that, overwrite our save that we made, And that is where we'll call it a video. But before that, now time to read some select literature. So let's take a look at the books that we have not read. Let me see here. I'm just looking over. I want to make sure I don't read anything I've seen before. Let me see. I know we've read Grogroth's Bible. Let me see. Last Frontier. We read the Kaiser Critique and the Kaiser's Rise to Power. We have not read Venushka's Bible yet. The cycle of destruction and creation is seen in its purest form in nature. Thus it comes as no surprise that the very god of nature, Venushka, is an offspring of the two older gods, Grogroth and Sylvian. Like the nature of mankind, the nature of Venushka too can change, from fiery raging volcanoes to serene grasslands where a gentle wind lulls one to sleep. The similarities between the nature and mankind are fitting, as both grew up sucking the many bosoms of Sylvian after all. Both were born from the same loins. Venushka and the representation of humanity, Almer, the Ascended One, are considered equal. Neither of the two stands taller. What is Venushka's is for man to reap, just as the nature reaps our old and weary. The mark of Venushka raises the otherworldly offense of its wielder. The text includes the sigil of Venushka and instructions on how to use it. Interesting. That seems, the Bible seems a little shorter than the other ones we've read. What about Sylvian's Bible? Sylvian, the goddess of love, lust, and creation. She created men and women at the dawn of time. From the very first moment, she loved her children dearly. Over time, her love blossomed to a more obsessive form, and she would take a more hands-on approach in controlling the direction her children took in life, always having their best interests in mind, of course. Once she realized her children would never return the same amount of affection back to her, her love took a more twisted form. Sylvian forced mankind more to her liking and closer to her own image with her gifts to the humans, the love magic, otherwise known as the flower magic. For a brief moment in history, mankind fell into a craze of fleshly delights. As synchronized mass, a sea of naked people in the middle of coitus would pulsate and waste their days. Sylvian is often associated with Grogroth, the god of destruction, and their offspring, Venushka, the god of nature. The mark of Sylvian raises otherworldly protection of its wielder. Sylvian's engraving gives you 30% otherworldly resistance, plus 3 magic defense, which is kind of interesting, but it's not that helpful. Next, let's read the Prehevil document. Looking back at the history of this place, there's been settlement here for as long as the history books cover the area. It always is centered around the mysterious hollow tower that works the central pillar of the community. The city flourished during the Cruel Age in the 1600s, but it quickly fell from prominence the closer we got to the modern times. I understand the city is medium in size as far as cities in Eastern Europa go, but I still find it hard to believe that this place would serve as the hub of any kind in a civilized world. For some reason, the government officials insist that Prehevil keeps its capital identity despite it being one of the more remote and unwelcoming cities in all of Bohemia, if not all of Europa. The only explanation I can come up with is that the country is proud of the old archaic rites that still go down in the city, and they want to show their full support. If you were to visit Prehevil and sightsee its small center, you'd see glimpses of its ancient glory days, still well and alive in these modern times. Do not let the Western-style shopping district with its latest movie posters and advertisements fool you. The locals still worship the old world in the dank and crumbling parts of the town. Ritualistic murder sites are just around the corner no matter where you are in the city. While the churches look to be dedicated to our one true god, Almer, from the outside, insides tell a whole different story. Ancient gods without name in any known language still linger in these crypts. And why wouldn't they? You can hear the priests chant their masses in the moonlit alleys during the dead of night. The whole wicked city is a playground for the ancient beings, and the people living there offer themselves to the first taker without second thought. Creepy. Giving us a greater insight into just how Prehevil is. Let's read The Truth Under the Moonlight. Truth Under the Moonlight. Who of us doesn't cover their true face and hide behind a persona? In the broad daylight, we adopt social role depending on the surrounding people. We put on a mask that works as the public image of our true personality. Do we hide our face to avoid the judgment of the people, or do we look down in shame as the sun watches our every move? A sun that knows our deepest longings and lustful thoughts. Only in the darkness of the night does the true and vile nature of men get revealed. We share our decrepit bodies only to select few under the moonlight. Despite what lovely thieves covering in the shadows would like you to think, the moonlight hides no one. You look at it like that, even though rare as a god of deception. Also, it kind of comes across like something that represents the truth, or at the very least, something that runs counter to the truth. Alright, let's read that reconnaissance report that we got. NLU Reconnaissance Report Number 1. Quick bullet points of the reconnaissance. Nameless Liberty Underground. The organization's roots date back to the First Great War. Formed from small groups participating in civil disobedience across different regions in Europa, Varanya, and Eastern Sanctuaries, became more organized with partisan fighters and professionals with experience in guerrilla warfare. The organization formed under the NLU after the First Great War, loosely connected throughout Europa. No centralized leader figure. Spies in high-ranking positions in the armies of the Eastern Union, Bremen Empire, and Allied forces. Recently has taken action in sabotaging both Allied forces' Operation Bow and Arrow as well as Eastern Union's Operation Logic. Bohemian sect considered a threat to Operation Logic. It's the first time we've heard of Operation Logic. And I think that's pretty much every document that we have needed to read. There's a couple more to collect in the game, and if I've missed any, just let me know in the comments below, but that should be most of the documents I have to do dedicated sections for reading for, so that is where we'll leave this video. As always, hope you enjoyed watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Until then, though, goodbye.